On stage, Mr. Vineet Bajpai, Mr. Rajiv Mishra, and Mr. Pratap Verma. Mr. Vineet Bajpai, one of the most celebrated young entrepreneur and CEO in India today, winner of several awards including the Asian Pacific Entrepreneurship Award 2012 and the CBNC Mercedes-Benz Young Turks Award 2013. He is also the winner of the Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2016. He has been ranked amongst the 100 most influential people in India's digital ecosystem by a leading business magazine. He is the founder and chairman of the Magnin Group, one of India's largest digital advertising agency. He is also the founder and CEO of Talent Truck, the leading hiring digital content outsourcing platform. Vineet sir is a best-selling author of 3 business books and 3 fictional books to his credit. Dubbed as the new literary superstar by the Times of India, his fictional novels are Harappa, Pralay and Kashi. All the 3 books have topped the chart as nation's bestsellers. Joining him will be Mr. Rajiv Mishra, an IIM Ahmedabad alumni and a marketing, advertising, business development professional. He has worked across multiple countries, states and cities with brands like Titan, Timex, Tiffany, Vodafone and many more. He is also a poet, writer and a talent show moderator. Next we have on stage Mr. Pratap Verma. He is currently the Chief Advisor at the Confederation of Madhya Pradesh for Industrial Service and Trade, which engages on ease of doing business in Madhya Pradesh. Pratap Verma is an industrial promotional advisor to the Madhya Pradesh government and also the member of the pioneering team led by Raghav Chandra sir that initiate investors meet in Madhya Pradesh since 2005. Let's begin the session, sir.
Everybody, good evening. Good afternoon, ma'am. क्योंकि विनीत हमारे साथ है और एज कोई भी हो 30 समथिंग का एस्पिरेशन तो होना ही चाहिए. मतलब हम एज अ विश सोच सकते हैं और जितने यंगस्टर्स यहाँ बैठे हैं, यंग ऑडियंस ज़्यादा है एंड आई एम श्योर थोड़ी देर में और बिल्डअप हो जाएगी. तो 30 समथिंग की ही कहानी सुनेंगे कि 30 समथिंग में क्या कर सकते हैं. आई थिंक और मेरा पहला जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, हमारा सवाल नहीं कर रहे हैं विनीत, वी आर जस्ट काइंड ऑफ चैटिंग, उनका एक्सपीरियंस गैदर कर रहे हैं हम यहाँ पे. कि विनीत अपनी किताब में एक जगह कहते हैं कि जो बड़े लोग होते हैं ना, उनके यहाँ टीवी छोटे होते हैं और लाइब्रेरियाँ बड़ी होती हैं, और छोटे लोग जो होते हैं उनके यहाँ टीवी बड़े होते हैं और लाइब्रेरियाँ छोटी होती हैं. तो ये क्या है, ये प्लीज लेट्स स्टार्ट विद दैट.
थैंक यू वेरी मच राजीव. एंड बिफोर आई आंसर योर क्वेश्चन, आपके प्रश्न का उत्तर देने से पहले प्लीज अलाउ मी टू थैंक यू वर्मा सर, द ऑर्गेनाइजर्स, राघव, एवरीबडी. Ma'am, thank you so very much for having me here. It's such a beautiful afternoon and it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. तो आपके प्रश्न का उत्तर देने के लिए मैं सबसे पहले ये बताऊं कि जिस कोट को आपने मेंशन किया है वो एक्चुअली ज़िग ज़िगलर ने बोला था और मैंने उसको अपनी किताब में यूज़ किया है. और उसकी थोड़ी सी शब्द हिंदी में बदल जाते हैं क्योंकि उसमें कोई बड़े आदमी या छोटे आदमी नहीं होते. What it means is successful and probably I would say ordinary or not so successful people.
Thank you for correcting me for that.
No, that's fine. So basically I think it's while it mentions books for sure, it is actually a metaphor, and the metaphor is that there is a big question that a lot of people ask at a lot of places I go, a lot of MBA institutes that I speak at. And all of them ask me the same question that जो भी थोड़ी बहुत भगवान ने सफलता अभी तक दी है, तो यही सवाल पूछते हैं कि आपको ये सफलता कैसे मिली. और मुझे बड़ा आश्चर्य होता है ये सवाल सुन के, क्योंकि इसका जवाब तो सबसे ज़्यादा आसान है और हम लोगों को जब हम बहुत छोटे से तब से बताया गया है, और उसका आंसर ये है कि हम औरों से ज़्यादा मेहनत करते हैं. It is, I can say it in very many fancy words. I can say it, I can quote a few business gurus and talk about that. But the reality of the matter is that सफल लोग ज़्यादा प्रयत्न करते हैं. इसमें, I don't think there is any, debate left on that. And I think the quote that you mentioned, I think that's what Mr. Ziegler also wanted to say, that, there are people who are focused more on life, and then there are people who consider their professional growth their life. And I know, in today's day and age, there's a lot of conversation on work-life balance, and it could be considered a little bit orthodox to speak only about work and not about life. So I'm not saying that, but I think the answer is very simple. बहुत ही सीधा सा जवाब है, मेहनत ज़्यादा करते हैं.
मैं एक चीज़ उसमें और आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि मैंने कई लोगों को सुना, और आप जैसे पीपल हु हैव वर्कड इन कॉर्पोरेट, एंड मैं सिर्फ ऐड ऑन उसमें करना चाहता हूँ, क्या ये लोग पढ़ते ज़्यादा हैं? इज रीडिंग एन एसेंशियल पार्ट ऑफ सक्सेस?
मुझे तो बड़ा आश्चर्य होता है, एज अ बुक लवर, आई रियली वंडर हाउ सम पीपल आर एबल टू स्पेंड देयर लाइव्स विदाउट रीडिंग बुक्स. But even on a societal level, I think what is very, very important is I really wonder what is going to happen to a society where the youngsters, where the millennials, and especially India with its demographics of, a majority of the people being under 35. I think it's a larger question than is discussed. I think an entire generation growing up consuming content on WhatsApp and social media rather than spending that time on books is a very, very dangerous progression, for any society. And I'm very grateful to the organizers of these literature festivals, because I think they bring back the importance of books, into the lives and into the consciousness of people. I'll give you an example. A lot of people think that books पढ़ना तो यार जो लोग literature में हैं या जो पढ़ने लिखने से related हैं उनको करना चाहिए. And I would and I would share with you, I'm forgetting the name of this, I don't know how I can forget his name, Kurosawa, I think, a big filmmaker, Japanese filmmaker who's considered an icon, and I was listening to his interview once, and they said, what is your suggestion to creative people, to filmmakers, to cameramen, to people associated to the creative industry? And he said, I would ask them to read books. He himself is a filmmaker, he's actually creating content for digital consumption, but his advice to youngsters or people who are aspirational for that industry is to read books. And the reason why he says that is, he says that the absorption that you get while reading a book, first of all, he says all your creativity is basically the assimilation of your memories. It's a permutation and combination of all the things that you've done and learnt over the duration of your life. And in that he says that when you read books, the kind of osmosis of ideas and knowledge and even scenarios and everything, he says it's priceless for a filmmaker. So if a filmmaker like him is speaking about digital content, but reading being the most important element for it, I think it speaks volumes about the importance of reading.
I agree with Vineet, because I myself have about 700-800 books with me on leadership and other this thing. And what happens with that, as you rightly mentioned in your book, various authors you have quoted, you get many more ideas than by yourself. You get your own experience, memory, everything fine, but the additional ideas you get, and that shortens your period to success. Because that's how you become CEO at the age of 30 plus, because then you get many more experiences of others which you can use for own purpose.
Absolutely.
Sir, I would just add to your point, and you've made a very pertinent point, and I must share with the audience that I was just probably 23, 24 years of age when I read this book by Jack Welch. It's called Straight from the Gut, and how one book can transform your entire management style, how one book can really make you, and I believe make you a better manager, a better leader, and a better professional. I don't have words to describe what that book did for me. So if one book can have such a transformational impact, I can imagine, sir, all the books that you're speaking about is priceless.
And Jack Welch has also said one thing: when you teach, you learn more. And I wanted to know from you is, how have you focused? You have written that you have read at night when everyone was, doing it, watching TV, your wife was watching TV and all. How could you sort of convince your wife, or maybe it was your sacrifice, or what way you?
बहुत मजेदार चीज है कि दोस्त मूवीज देखने जाते थे और आप नहीं जाते थे, मतलब ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है यार?
इसमें देखिए दो सवाल हैं. पहले मैं जो ज़्यादा टेक्निकल सवाल है उसको मैं रिस्पॉन्ड कर देता हूँ. And in my book I've mentioned that there was this journalist who came to me, And after the interview was done, she asked me that, Vineet, you run 2 companies, and you've started a publishing house, and you've written 7 books. So how do you do, so much? And my answer was very simple. And I said, because I don't watch movies on weekends. And she started laughing. She thought, I'm cracking a joke. And I told her, no, really, this is the reality. All of us get 24 hours. All of us have, those 7 days in a week. All of us like to work only 5 days. But how is it that there are some people who are able to accomplish so much more, than people with similar time, next to them? I must share with you that there's this concept called the 996 concept of Alibaba and of Jack Ma. The richest man in China and probably one of the richest men in the world and a self-made entrepreneur. And he calls it 996. I don't agree with it because I think it's a little bit too corporeal. But what he says is 996 means working from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. And that's his mantra for success. And he's a man who's actually proven it. He's not somebody who's just, standing in a classroom and teaching. He's built China's biggest company in a matter of 15 years. So like I said, I don't agree with that. But of course, one has to understand that you cannot do everything and expect to have everything also. You cannot expect to burn away your Saturdays and Sundays going for lunches and dinners with friends and family, and then hope to be able to write books and run companies or build spectacular careers. So there is an element of sacrifice. I don't like to use the word sacrifice because the people who are doing it, they don't consider it to be sacrifice. They consider it to be the essential ingredients of what they are trying to build. So that was that. That's what I told her. I said that that's the only time I'm able to write, and that's the only time I'm able to devote to these things. And I've had this conversation with many people who are super achievers. I have Mr. Naveen Chawla sitting here right in the front row, and if I start listing down the things that he has achieved in one life, I think we will all be stunned. My friend Venki S. Venkatesh, the author of Kalkut, the spectacular corporate career and consulting career that he's managing, along with being a fantastic author. Harini, who's sitting next to him. I know so many people who have been able to achieve this, and I think these are all people who have given that little extra that somehow today's generation finds unfashionable to talk about. As there used to be a time when there was a lot of premium given to hard work. जो लोग मेहनत करते थे उनकी बहुत तारीफ होती थी. और अब मैं देखता हूँ कि that I sometimes feel that I am a little jaded because I go and speak about hard work and I'm boom, 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 boom. There are so many questions about what about work-life balance. I have executives working in my company who are 25, 24, who've just started earning money, who probably just put away a couple of lakh of rupees in savings, and they ask for a holiday because they want to go on a European tour taking a personal loan. And I asked them that what's going on? These are your formative years. You should save money. You should give, everything half to your career. And then they say, but what about work-life balance? So maybe I'm getting a little old-fashioned now, but that's my mantra.
Basically, you are saying weekend movie में मत जाओ, किताब लिखो और BLF में मिलो.
मतलब मोटा यही कह रहा था मैं.
So you choose movie देखनी है या BLF में मिलना. This is the gang where we meet, like
और मैं वो wife वाला भी जवाब दे दूं. जब आपने बोला that how does she permit me to do that? दोस्त यार तो सब ठीक है. तो she permits me to do that because she has seen me and known me since I was 22. And she has seen when we started our company from a small Barsati in Lajpat Nagar in the hot month of May, June, in Delhi. And we didn't even have air conditioning. So we used to really go red in color like tandoori chicken. So she's seen all of that. And when I proposed to her to get married to me, I said, are you okay being my second wife? And she knew what I was saying because, I was going to say that, I'm married to my company kind of a thing. So that's my first marriage. But I think she's able to, understand everything is because she's not an outsider. I think everything that I've achieved and everything that I do, she's a part of it. So if I am sitting and writing and she's permitting me to do that, we are not two people. We are one team trying to achieve that goal. And I think that's something we've, touch wood, achieved in the last 16 years of marriage. Knock on wood, I hope it stays like that.
तो मैंने MS धोनी के बाद दूसरा इंसान से सुना है कि पता है बीवी जो है वो मेरी दूसरी बीवी है. You know, he says cricket is.
अब इसको बार-बार मत बोलिए.
नहीं, I'm sure यहाँ से बाहर नहीं जाएगी बात. पर आप एक मजेदार, इतनी मेहनत सब आप करते हो, सब कुछ करते हो, आप एक मजेदार चीज बताते हो किताब में कि सक्सेस अगर मिल भी जाए तो भी किराए का है. It's rented. You don't still own it. Please help us understand that, no?
I think that is something which anybody who's trying to build a life and build a career would understand. And I would quote an example I was hearing once from an actor, from a movie actor. I don't like him. I shouldn't say it on stage. Anyway, but
say the name,
yeah, we won't say the name. No, we can say it actually. It's Ajay Devgan, and he was on screen once. But when he had just become a new star and people had started knowing him and all of that. And then an interviewer asked him, this is some 20 years ago and I still remember it. The interviewer asked him that, Ajay, now you're already a star, you're working with the best of directors and banners. So what is it that you have to do now? What is it that you aim for now? And he very simply said that, मुझे इन सालों में बस इतना पता चला है कि सफलता को पहली बार प्राप्त करने से ज़्यादा कठिन उस सफलता को बरकरार रखना होता है. So there is, I'll again quote another example again from Shah Rukh Khan. From a movie star, when they asked him once that why is your company called Dreams Unlimited, and he says because life is not about a destination, it's about a journey. He said, so it's not as if I will reach somewhere and I will be satisfied and that will be the end of my ambition. He says Dreams Unlimited means it's a journey. I will just keep climbing till the last day of my life. And I think we have so many examples of this in politics, in the industry, in cinema, where we've seen super achievers giving more. You look at Amitabh Bachchan, I think he works more than all of us combined. So I think what's very important is to understand that if God has granted you a little bit of success, it's not an achievement, it's an opportunity.
As a CEO,
began.
How cricket has influenced you in terms of assessing situations?
Sir, cricket, I used to watch a lot, but I'm one of those people who left cricket with Sachin Tendulkar because I used to watch cricket for him.
He must be feeling bad about you,
Yeah, because I used to watch cricket for Sachin, and I've been an ardent fan of Sachin, and I have this beautiful book which is called Sachin Masterful, which is kept in my study. And I must tell you that when you read about Sachin and when you read what how he planned his life and his career and how he worked on it, and I see now very strong elements of that in Virat Kohli also. And simple things when you study, read in that book that if there's a World Cup tournament happening and if there are 3 days between 2 matches, the rest of the team would go and party and go and see Adelaide or Melbourne or wherever they are, and Sachin would be practicing 11 hours on the nets between those 2 matches all 3 days. So is there really still a debate open? Is there really still? I was watching this serial called Coffee with Karan. The makers are good friends, and I watch it closely. And I was watching KL Ravi's interview. Is that name right? He's the opening. KL Rao, yes, his interview, the opening. Yes, and Karan Johar asks him that, do you have any advice for Virat Kohli? And KL Rahul says, yeah, he should take it easy. He's all the time about work, all the time about cricket. And I was appalled when I heard this. I told him, I felt like telling him that you, who's not even firmed up his position in India 11, are telling Virat Kohli, who's ICC world #1 batsman, that he's all about work. I wish you would learn that. Probably you would be in Virat's, company. So yes, so cricket and Sachin have influenced me.
And you have mentioned Tendulkar is the longest playing player. For the benefit of the audience here, the longest test career was of Alfred Rhodes. He played for England for 31 years, starting 1899 to 1930. And in the course of that, he played 58 test matches, and he retired from test cricket at the age of 52 years, 165 days.
Guys, big hand for this statistical memory for Verma. This is amazing. आप है ना 30 समथिंग में आपने कहा है कि स्टार्टअप में पॉसिबल है, आप अपनी खुद की कंपनी शुरू कर रहे हो, आपका खुद का तजुर्बा है, आपने खुद में किया, पहले आप नौकरी करते थे, फिर आपने छोड़ दी, फिर 30 समथिंग में आप ये बताते हो कि ये ब्लू चिप एमबीए वाले होते हैं, आपने IIMs और बड़ी बड़ी वहाँ से जो टॉप 25 अगर निकाल दीजिए, तो उसके बाद भी अगर आपने किया तो आपको कभी कभी लगता है यार मैं वहाँ पहुँच पाऊंगा कि नहीं पहुँच पाऊंगा, मैं वो चीज़ कर पाऊंगा कि नहीं कर पाऊंगा. यू वेंट थ्रू दैट थिंग इन योर ओन लाइफ विच इज द so how does it work out in a versus a startup in a multinational or a larger company or a Lala company that you still aspire to be that 30 something CEO?
So first of all, I think very important to state here that once again the 30 something is a metaphor, and while it does speak about accelerated success, accelerated growth, and what people can do to grow faster than their peers, it's actually a metaphor in the sense, and if you saw in the beginning, I have taken examples of people who who achieved spectacular success at very advanced ages. I think I've used the example of Colonel Harlan Sanders of Kentucky Fried Chicken, who started KFC at the age of 64. Khushwant Singh wrote bestsellers at 90. So it's not really about the age. It's about how, yes, unconventional methods to be deployed to be able to achieve success. I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples, one of my own and one from a real life example. And yeah,
I'm just sorry to interrupt you over there. एक उसमें just add up on to that while we are on this one. आपका एक colleague था जिसमें फ्लाइट में वो आपको एक केमिस्ट्री की एक चीज बताते हो और आप बात करते हो कि कि आपने कभी उसका इंटरव्यू लिया था और I think you rather tell that story rather than being unveiling.
So that is about how important are degrees and these blue chip Ivy League universities and their their degrees. So I'll come to that. Basically what happens is, what I have described in the book is that when you join large organizations in in a certain predefined career paths, so while they have a lot of benefits, there is also a dependence on the acceleration. For example, if you join say the civil services, you might be a brilliant exceptional officer, but you will have to follow a certain path of which is predefined in the government. Same way you might join the private sector through, say, Tata Administrative Services. So while it's a great beginning and they pick up their people from the most Ivy League colleges, but there is still a certain path. Of course, some would grow faster than the others based on performance and luck, but it's still a more proven path. I'll share my example, of what happened. So I started an advertising and digital agency. I was just 22. We started in a very small way. In about 10-12 years of hard work, we were able to be one of the largest independent advertising agencies in India. And then in 2012, a multinational corporation, which is a Fortune 200 company called Omnicom, they identified us and they said that we want to pick up a stake, in your company through TBWA, which is one of the world's top 10 advertising networks. And the transaction happened, and of course it was monetarily beneficial for me. But what was very exciting was that within 2 years of that acquisition, I was leading the entire TBWA India group as CEO. And when I think back, and which I share with you with deepest humility, and I think which is the reason behind the title of this book, 30-something CEO, that made me the youngest ever CEO of a multinational advertising group in India. And I was thinking that if I had completed my MBA, which I did, but I had stuck to an organization, I would have taken 20 more years to reach where I had reached at the age of 35. So that has happened. I'll give you another example of how unconventional. Yeah, sorry, please go ahead.
You want to share that? I mean, when you took over, there was this conflict. There was a senior guy, and he wanted to take over and he wanted to lead. Yes. How your team supported you? The team rallied behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are all very exciting but long story. I don't think.
See, for youngsters, these are really, I think, for
sure,
them to grow on, these is like, something which I have kind of linked. These are still growing up people, like, I mean.
Sure. So to come back to your first thing that you said that I should talk about it, is in the book I speak about the importance of degrees and how they are important, but only to a certain extent. And in the book I speak about this colleague of mine who worked with me for about 1.5 years. He was a pretty senior colleague, and he was traveling with me, on the same flight. And some conversation came up about chemistry, and he was sounding so knowledgeable. And then I turned to him and I said, "Yaar, tujhe kaise aati itni chemistry?" And he said, "Vineet, I am a BE chemical engineer and you took my interview. You don't remember?" And the fact of the matter is, I don't, because today when I interview people, and you know, it's again a slightly radical approach, but I don't even look at the educational qualifications unless it is for a technical role. That chemical engineer, and he had done his MBA after that, had come in, you know, for a business consulting role, which did not need chemical engineering. So I didn't focus on that. And when I take a look at resumes, I don't look at the education anymore. I only look at what work the person has done, and then depend on, you know, the conversation that I have. So that was, you know, the thing you were speaking about. The second part that you've spoken about is organizational politics, really. And I think most people over here who work with large departments or large organizations would have faced this. And it is under a chapter called Your Corporate Militia. And in that, I think I quote Alexander of Macedon's line, which says, "Remember, upon the conduct of each depends the fate of all." And this is what me and my core team believe in, and you know, this is what we thrive by. And when we entered this world of, you know, this Fortune 200 multinational and all the politics that came with it, I think what was able to see us through, and none of us knew all this politics. You know, we were since the age of 22 just building our own company, so there was, and it was such a warm, fast-moving startup, young startup. There was no politics. But we entered this, you know, massive multinational, and we were first taken aback by all the, you know, political gamesmanship that happens there. But I think what really saw us through was that we all stuck together, and we were able to compete with, you know, worldwide leaders, worldwide presidents, simply because all of us were together and we would not move. And because we were together, nobody could run our company better than us, and which is what the reason was for our success.
Vineet, you've talked about Arjun and Mahabharata and Arjun, and you said in the exile 13 years, he learned so many things. I want to add up there. Like in Sanskrit, there are 6 factors to it. First is how you learn. First is information and data. It is given by Adhyapak when you start. Then next is knowledge. Knowledge is given by Upadhyay. Then skill is given by Acharya, Dronacharya, Kripacharya and all that. Fourth is insight. Insight is given by Pandit. And then Drashta gives you the vision. And when you have all these 5, you get wisdom. And all these 5 brothers, they worked on this principle to get ready for the war.
How lovely. Thank you for sharing this, sir. And I must tell you, aapne jo exact bataya hai, very similar to that is a shlok that my father shares, because we are speaking about degrees in education. There's a shlok that my father says, which says, "Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayadyati patratam, patratat dhanmapnoti, dhana dharma tato sukham." Which basically means Vidya dadati vinayam, that when you get Vidya, when you become educated, aap mein vinay aata, you become humble, humility, politeness. Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayadyati patratam. When you are educated and you are humble, you become worthy of success. आप सफलता के पात्र बनते हैं. विद्या ददाति विनयम विनयाद्याति पात्रताम पात्रता धर्माप्नोति. जब आप पात्र बनते हैं तो आपके पास धन आता है, सक्सेस आती है. और धना धर्म ततो सुखम. And when you use that success and wealth for the good of mankind, for the good of dharma, that is when you achieve true happiness.
विनीत, हमारे पास बहुत सारे सवाल हैं लेकिन टाइम कम है, आपको पता है. तो मैं ऑडियंस को क्वेश्चंस दूं उससे पहले आपसे एक सवाल, मतलब एक सिर्फ जानना ये चाहता हूँ सर, आपको कुछ पूछना है? यू वांट आस्क? एक बहुत सिंपल सी चीज़ है कि आप ये कहते हो कि यू नो इफ ये यंगस्टर्स के लिए खास है कि अगर आपको कोई एक अमेजिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी मिले और आप डिलेमा में हो कि मैं वो लूँ या ना लूँ, क्या करूँ, तो ले लो, फिर देखेंगे क्या करेंगे. प्लीज हेल्प अस अंडरस्टैंड दैट. नो उसको ये डिलेमा भी अगर हो जाए, वो अमेजिंग है कि नहीं अपॉर्चुनिटी, मतलब यू नो लग रही है अच्छी. एंड यू मेंशन दिस प्रीटी नाइसली इन योर बुक, यू नो.
So I think what is important to understand here is that one, that in your life you will discover you know, new elements and new things every. How sweet. So in life, of course, opportunities keep coming. I must share with you that till the age of 38, I had never even dreamt of being a fiction writer. I had written 3 business books and I thought, this is who I am. I'm an entrepreneur, a business person. And because I'm an entrepreneur and a business person, I write, business books. And it was at 38, 39 that I started writing my fiction books. And I don't know how many of you know about the Harappa trilogy. And now I've written my 4th book, which is Mastan. And by God's grace, the success and recognition that I received because of all the non-fiction work, because of the fiction work, is significantly higher than, any time before. And the fact of the matter is, like I said, that, life will present opportunities. A lot of us just leave that opportunity because it comes dressed as hard work. Because we just feel that, this is going to take away too much from me, or I'm not technically prepared, mentally prepared, financially prepared, or, whatever.
मुझे move करना पड़ेगा शहर, I mean, yeah.
Whatever your comfort zone is, या resources नहीं है, तो कोई भी अगर कारण होता है, we find a reason to not grab that opportunity. And what I have seen and what I have done in my life is, of course, you can't be a fool about everything. You have to be cautious and you have to understand, get a very, very real assessment, of what that opportunity is. But fear of failure should not be the reason why you let it go. That is, I think, the underlying
We need one
statement.
last question. Tell the audience how you sort of find out who am I and why we do what we do.
अगर आप बुरा ना माने तो छोटी सी कविता सुना दूं मैं.
अरे प्लीज प्लीज.
तो अपने फ्री टाइम में मैं कभी कभी हिंदी का कविता पाठ भी करता हूँ. उसमें ये लाइन आती है सर, हु एम आई वाली, तो जल्दी से सुना देता हूँ. इसका शीर्षक है महत्वाकांक्षा के सूखे होंठ, द ड्राई लिप्स ऑफ एम्बिशन और एस्पिरेशन. हो ना धराया ही गगन पर मैं रहूं ये आस है, पुरुषार्थ मेरा दिग्विजयी हो बस यही विश्वास है. शत्रु निकट हो लक्ष्य धुंधला या विकट हो मार्ग मेरा, बस एक इच्छा एक स्वप्न और एक मूल आभास है. हो आज यूं तो ना नसों में बाके सुमन की गंध चल, पर श्वेद क्यों बन भाग्य स्याही चेतना करता प्रबल. बन गया धधकता अग्निकुंड जीवन मेरा परवाह क्यों, मैं कौन हूं और क्यों बना उस प्रश्न का उत्तर सफल. बलिदान कब आए गए गिनती कभी से छोड़कर, आनंद और संतोष की सुख सेज से मुख मोड़कर. और बंधन भी कई टूटे अटल इस राह पर मैं चला बस भाग्य की हर एक पंक्ति तोड़कर. आखिरी स्टैंजा है, ऐ विधाता मार्ग मेरा तेरे ही आंगन से हो, जो तेरा निर्देश है बस वो ही निश्चय मन में हो लोक दृष्टि क्रूर मुझ पर या कहे ये हट मेरा, हर नए युग की प्रेरणा बस मेरे ही जीवन से हो.
क्या बात, क्या बात. Guys, big round of applause for Vineet for this poem itself. So we throw open the thing now to audience. कुछ questions आपके हो?
We are running short of time, just 2 questions.
क्या सबको मौका मिल जाए?
I have a question.
सर आप घर पे पूछिएगा.
No, but it's very pertinent to the audience. Vineet, tell us in this journey 1 or 2 of your biggest challenges and how you overcame them.
2 challenges. One is something that I have overcome and one is something that I continue to fight. The first is the lack of resources. When I started this business, when I started my company, and I don't like to talk about this much. आपने पूछा इसलिए बता रहा हूँ, because श्री राम लागू की एक बहुत बढ़िया फिल्म में वो अमोल पालेकर को कहते हैं कि मैं भी तुम्हारी तरह गरीब था और छोटी सी शुरुआत करी थी, लेकिन उस शुरुआत का मेडल लगा के नहीं घूमता हूँ. So I try not to talk about it, but क्योंकि आपने पूछा about the biggest challenge, it was the lack of resources. When we started out, we started with 2 rented computers, didn't know where to get the money from. But बाद में मैंने एक motivational speaker हैं बहुत global standard के, Tony somebody, I'm forgetting his name, and he says that there is never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. And that really changed my way of looking at things, and which I really feel today is something that I live by, and I've never had, by God's grace, shortfall of resources ever since we started. The second, and which is a challenge that I continue to fight, and which I'll be very candid about, is to be able to manage the softer but very important elements of life, which is spending time with my daughter, taking family out to for holidays. I'm unable to invest as much into my own fitness as I would like to. So these are things that that are still there, out there on the radar. I'm trying very hard to address them, and I'm hoping I'll succeed sooner than later.
Run a small software setup. We are into banking domain. So my question is, how you look up the startup scenario? Whether the initial euphoria that was there, I'm finding it a bit dim now. So what is your opinion?
A very firm believer that it is startups that build the world. So whether it is publishing books to building skyscrapers, hamburgers to jet planes, it has all been done by startups, and it has all been done by entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs drive and build this world. So that is my firm belief. Coming to the Indian scenario, I've written a book on it. It's called Build from Scratch. We are coming out with its 15th anniversary edition in 2020. It's all about how startups in Indian conditions can be built by an entrepreneur who does not come from a business family, who does not have some really bleeding edge technology, does not really know where to go. So in Indian conditions, how can a first generation entrepreneur start from idea generation to building and running a company? So that's a book I've written, and it's 300 pages, so I won't be able to tell you everything right here, right now. But all I can say is, I think in the last few years, a lot of realism has come into the Indian startup sector. The kind of bubbles that were being created by, sometimes the aggression and sometimes the silliness of some of the institutional investors and venture capital firms who invested and pumped millions and tens of millions of dollars into businesses which seemed to be ready for failure right, from the beginning. So a whole bubble was created, a lot of startups failed, a lot of funded startups failed, and a lot of that happened. And this was the second round of learning in India. The first happened in the big dot-com boom or the dot-com bust back in 1999. And I think from 2014 to 2017 has been the next round of realism entering the Indian startup sector. And I think both investors as well as entrepreneurs as well as strategic players today understand the value of business fundamentals, the value of revenue generation, the value of profitability and scalability based on reinvestment of that business's profit and not on external funding. So I think a lot of realism has set in, and any business which has real value, which has inherent scalability, India is the best market to be around right now.
I am Shreyans Dikshit, and I would like to tell you that my book, I have written my first ever book. I am working with Indian Oil Corporation, and I have written a book titled When I Met Myself, which is going to be released tomorrow. So my question is that what I find in my organization, what you said before, a couple of minutes before, that what can we do that people are losing this reading habits actually. It is a very serious question. Like the people like you, a person like you, should have a full stadium in front of you, and it is something like oxygen is available, but people refuse to breathe. So as a CEO of a corporation or a company, I would suggest that why don't you bring another form of, if it is not reading,
you can keep it short.
Yeah, if it is not reading, any audible or anything should come to our country basically.
Share your concern, and in our own small way, whether it's my publishing house Tree Shade Books or me personally being here today, we try and drive the book reading hobby or interest in whatever way we can. You've mentioned it very nicely, whether it's Kindle, whether it's Audible, whether it's Indian companies like Juggernaut which are coming out with some digital storytelling and all of that. I think that all that is happening, but just the way we say when we speak about social issues, that at the end of the day, it is the upbringing that the parents do which is going to make a difference. If you continue to give video games to your children as gifts on their birthdays, forget about them becoming readers. The day you start gifting them books, I think they will enjoy those books, they will grow up to be readers and do the same with their children. So I think that's parental responsibility on driving books into their children's lifestyles is, in my opinion, the most potent way of bringing back the reading habit.
So please,
मैं प्रभांशु पारासर उच्च शिक्षा संस्थान का
माइक पास है।
यस सर, तृतीय वर्ष में अध्ययनरत छात्र हूँ। सर, तो आपने अभी बताया कि सफलता का जो रास्ता है वो मेहनत है, माफ़ कीजिएगा, औरों से ज़्यादा मेहनत है। तो सर, हम देखते हैं कि कई लोग मेहनत करते हैं परंतु वो अपने सफलता को नहीं पा पाते, तो इसका मानना यही हुआ कि वो सही दिशा में नहीं जा रहे हैं। क्या आप हमें ये बता सकते हैं कि हम उस दिशा का चयन कैसे करें?
अंग्रेजी में ज़रूर बोलूँगा क्योंकि बहुत आवश्यक है वो। आपने बहुत सही सवाल पूछा है और बहुत सारे मेहनत करने वाले लोग ये सवाल पूछते हैं कि यार मेहनत तो हम भी करते हैं पर हम आगे क्यों नहीं बढ़ पाते हैं। और फिर कुछ लोग कुतर्क भी करने लगते हैं कि मेहनत तो रिक्शे वाला भी करता है तो वो क्यों नहीं बन जाता टाटा बिरला। तो कुतर्क की यहाँ बात नहीं है, लेकिन आपका सवाल बहुत बढ़िया है, बहुत तथ्य है इस सवाल में कि मेहनत बहुत लोग करते हैं, आगे नहीं बढ़ पाते हैं। और जैसा मैंने कहा, मैं इसमें एक आपको थोड़ा सा अंग्रेजी के शब्द इस्तेमाल करूँगा। मैं एक इंस्टीट्यूट है दिल्ली में, MBA इंस्टीट्यूट, वहाँ बोल रहा था और मैंने वहाँ एक लाइन अपने स्पीच में बोली दैट no amount of hard work, no amount of commitment, no amount of dedication will make you successful। ऐसे करके मैं आगे बोलता चला गया। जब इसी तरह क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर सेशन आया तो एक स्टूडेंट ने उठ के पूछा मुझसे कि सर आपने अभी बोला कि नो अमाउंट ऑफ हार्ड वर्क, नो अमाउंट ऑफ कमिटमेंट, नो अमाउंट ऑफ डेडिकेशन। इसे जब हार्ड वर्क, कमिटमेंट, डेडिकेशन ये भी सफलता नहीं दिलवाने वाला है तो क्या दिलवाएगा। और मैंने जोर से बड़ी एनर्जेटिक आवाज में उसको बोला था एंटरप्राइज। एंटरप्राइज मतलब समझते हो एंटरप्राइज का? कुछ हट के करना, कुछ अलग करना, कुछ रास्ते निकालना, कोई नए तरीके सीखना, लेकिन कुछ ऐसा करना जो और लोग नहीं कर पाते, कुछ एंटरप्राइजिंग करना। तो जो बिजनेसेस को एंटरप्राइज भी बोला जाता है उसका कारण ये है कि वो अपनी सफलता के लिए एक घिसे पिटे ढर्रे पे नहीं चलते हैं, वो नए मार्ग बनाते हैं, वो नए पथ की पहचान करते हैं। तो एंटरप्राइज बहुत जरूरी। अगर आपकी मेहनत उसी ढर्रे पर सुबह से रात वही काम आप करते चले जा रहे हैं और आपको पता है कि आपको उस पर रिटर्न्स नहीं आ रहे हैं, तो थोड़ी सी अलग सोच वो बहुत बहुत आवश्यक है।
धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर।